What is up, guys? It is the Sound Alchemist, and welcome back to another Warhammer 40K video. This time I am giving you guys a short story on some orcs. That's right, guys, I'm talking about the orcs. It's not Gersh 1. So yeah, Orktober happened. A little bit disappointing, but at the end of the day, I looked at what came out and I'm really impressed. The Orc Codex, while it did come out in November, not October, Orktober, there we go. It was pretty freaking interesting. It's really awesome. It's made them into a pretty cool fighting force, and I can't wait to go up against Gersh 1. However, I'm going to be covering the orcs in a way that kind of ties in with my own 11th Legion fan chapter lore, the Celestial Sons. So yeah, it's been a long time since I've given you guys any lore behind it, and that's pretty much because I've been kind of making it more concise. I've been organizing it more and making it more into a story instead of just having like, this event happened, that event happened, this event happened. So now I'm making it more into a timeline, and I'm going through like chapters and whatnot. So I've got like 7 chapters done. I just need to like rework them. And so the story you see here, this is kind of a prelude to the 2nd chapter. So let's dive into it. This is the Celestial Sun lore prelude to chapter 2, Hellfrost and Heaven's Flame. They came at us in droves, hundreds of greenskins rushing to be the first to cave in our heads. Their stench, their actions, all so ugly and brutal. Little did they know they were all running to their death. There were 5 of us in the Seer Council, and each one of us would massacre hundreds before we would fall. And that's exactly what we would do. The Waaagh of Iron Fist arrived via rocks, but our Eldritch Lightning crumbled their makeshift transports before they could get any closer to us. For we needed to buy time for our avatar to awaken. Our Exarch had been receiving visions of fire and war, and he knew that this meant that he would have to answer to Kayla Mensha Kane. And so here we are, fighting to buy him time, so that he could summon the bloody-handed god. And so we fought. The Seer Council of 5 fought for an hour non-stop. Wraithbone blades tasted orc blood over and over again, shuriken pistols jamming at the sheer amount of blood and viscera upon them. This battle was indeed bloody, and yet not a single orc penetrated our defensive line, for the Eldari held fast during this first hour. However, this was when the Warboss had enough, and he himself arose to meet us in battle. With a guttural "Whoa!" his generals descended, riding upon massive squiggots. Our warp abilities did little to stop their rampage. Before we knew it, they were already charging upon us. Farseer Ashidra was the first to fall. The massive beast trampled her, and with her death, our force field began to weaken. The hail of greenskin Chapafire finally cracked the dome of energy, and that's when another of our own was overtaken by the tidal wave of green. Her screams were drowned out by the laughter and ecstasy of each orc ripping into her warm flesh. Farseer Onrus was locked in a battle with an orc weirdboy as flashes of green lightning met her white. Before I could act, the Warboss plunged his mechanized fist clean through Onrus's back. Alion and I retreated back to where our Exarch had been performing the ritual, and that's when we saw it. At first embers, but then the mighty Kayla Mensha Kane had been summoned in a pool of bloody red flame. With a single slash of his flaming sword, a whole wave of orcs disintegrated to mere ash. From these ashes, though, the squiggoths charged forth and impaled the avatar with its mighty tusks. The beast began to melt away from the intense heat, and then a thunderous bolt of green Waaagh energy came crashing down. This monstrous attack would be the weird boy's last, for his head finally burst open with raw energy still coursing through it. Once the smoke cleared from the attack, my heart stopped. The Warboss Iron Fist stood there, holding the avatar of Cain's head, as his hand began burning off, revealing his skeletal frame. This would be the last thing I would see, the death of a god, and the rise of the new Warboss DedFist. And with that being said, guys, that is the end of the short story. I didn't really title it anything. I guess we'll go with Waagh DedFist. So yeah, that was the precursor to Chapter 2, which is called Hellfrost and Heaven's Flame. So a little bit of spoilers here, if you don't want to know what happens in the next lore segment for the Celestial Sons. This is when they team up with the Space Wolves to liberate the enslaved humans from Waagh DedFist. Pretty much what the surviving orcs did here is that they reclaimed the Eldar that they killed, basically skinned them, ate them. Yeah, I know orcs don't really eat meat, but they ate them, and they decided to wear the bones of the defeated as like war trophies. After eating the Eldar meat and putting on their bones, somehow, some way, Gork and Mork made it that these orcs began to be more, I guess, warp infused. So now they fight with brutality and with the power of the warp. So they're a huge threat, and the Emperor foresaw what was, happening, and of course he can't let that happen, especially since they've already taken over a human planet. So now Alec Elric, Primarch of the 11th Legion, is going to team up with Leman Rust to confront these orcs. Of course, this is all happening back in 30K. That's why, you still got the Emperor there. Leman Rust is still, fighting for the Imperium. So it's going to be pretty interesting. I've had this story marinating in my head for months now, and I finally got a version of it that I enjoyed. I didn't want to make a whole, full-fledged chapter in my book talking about this when, the Celestial Sons aren't even involved. So this is kind of like the prelude to this, trying to give you some background as to why they're so powerfully, infused with psychic stuff, and how Warboss DedFist got his name, through killing the Avatar, having his freaking hand burn at the intensity of the Avatar's freaking flaming head. So there it is, guys. Let me know what you guys thought about it, and hopefully next week I'll be able to bring you guys the lore behind the Celestial Sons. So again, let me know what you guys thought about the short story, and stay subscribed. If you want more lore on the Celestial Sons, check out the playlist, which will be at the end of the video, and I'll see you guys next time. This is the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and I'll catch you then.